Hey YouTube, Richard Scott here. Today is April 26th of 2022 and I am in Northport, Alabama, and things are in full swing in terms of the bee season, the 2022 honey season, and bees are beginning to gain weight. The hives are getting heavier as nectar comes in. Let me show you what we got in our general area. And again, I'm located in west central Alabama, so things may look a little different where you are, but here's what it looks like where I am. First off, one of my favorite Blackberry Blooms. These things are fully bloomed now. And these are wild blackberries. And you know, some people don't like these, but I love the wild blackberries. They got a little bit of a tart taste to them when they're mature, but still those things are delicious. And we got a lot of those. Blackberries started blooming out about a week and a half ago here locally. And I know you recognize that. That is honeysuckle. You know, when I was a kid, I used to suck the nectar out of those things. I'd find every honeysuckle I could and suck the nectar out of them. Goodness, look at the Blackberry Blooms. These are awesome. And it is that time of the year. You know, I've got a lot of Chinese privet hedge in my area where we are. These have not really started to bloom out just yet. They are just about to break the buds. In fact, I'd say probably in the next week, these should be fully bloomed. In fact, look carefully there. Looks like the buds are just starting to break on this privet hedge. You know, privet hedge is an invasive species. These things are not supposed to be here, but I'll say this, honeybees love them. They're a major nectar source in my part of the world. In fact, typically the Chinese privet hedge is kind of your first nectar source for bees, your first main nectar source for bees when the honey flow really gets kicked in is when these things bloom out. And these are a little bit later compared to last year. The weather's been a little different this year. It was cold in January, it was cold in February, and last year it was warm in January, February, and the privet hedge bloomed out in mid-April. So they're about 2 weeks behind compared to last year. But the blackberries looking good. Again, this is on our personal property. We've got bees spread out on 3 different places. We've got some bees here, but mostly we spread bees out on other properties, just kind of get them away from the house. Planted a lot of fruit trees. I planted a garden this year, and it's just starting to sprout. Now, this isn't anything fancy. This garden is actually for the deer. We've got a huge deer population here in my part of Alabama, and we've planted some sweet corn, peas, things deer would like, and if the deer don't eat everything, then we'll get some of it too. We love to watch the deer sitting on the back porch. Kind of tame around here. This is a pear, and let me tell you something. These pears are so sweet. They are awesome. Love these things. These bloomed out about 3-4 weeks ago. I want to say the very end of March, very beginning of April. And the blooms are pretty much done with the pears now, and the pears are starting to come out. We've got some new fruit trees we planted. Mostly we have apple and pear where we are. Pine trees have been shooting out their new little spurts. Saw the new growth there for about 2 or 3 weeks now. The pollen's done from the pine, thank goodness. Pine pollen is tough on me. Here's some of our beehives we have here. And again, there's not much at our house. We've got about 60 colonies of bees where we are. And what we do is if I catch a swarm, I'll bring it back here, let them grow just a little bit, and then I'll move it over to the bee yard. I noticed this morning. This is interesting. It's kind of cool morning, so the bees aren't extremely active. But it is the end of April and beginning to see signs of washboarding, which is pretty cool to see. Usually I don't see that here until towards the end of summer. But see how the bees are kind of rocking back and forth from front to back? Yeah, that is washboarding. That's cool to see. Not sure why bees are washboarding so early. That's the only hive I've noticed, the only colony of bees I've noticed doing that, but anyway. Let's walk around here. We've got a lot of apple trees planted on our property. And these bloomed out at the very end of March and very beginning of April. In fact, they just lost their blooms. See some crimson clover there. This is a younger apple tree, and I've got to put cages around them. Deer will eat these things alive. And I love the blooms on these. Such a pretty bloom. I believe this is Red Delicious. This one, if I remember right. See, apple trees up here seem to have finished blooming. I see a couple flowers here and there still residual, but mostly these are done. And I'm beginning to see some little apples. Hello now. I think these are these Granny Smith? I cannot remember which one I planted, which tree is which. I've got multiple apples. Granny Smith, Red Delicious are the main ones. Those are the ones I like. Plum tree, it bloomed, I'm gonna say about 3 weeks ago, into March, beginning of April. Again, that's a fairly young plum, but we should get some off of that this year. So again, we got bees that are looking good. These are going to need to be moved soon. I've got about 60 colonies of bees spread out on 3 different properties. This is technically the 4th one, but we don't typically keep bees here all year round. But these are beginning to put on weight. Brood nests are looking great. So it's just about time to move these bees. But anyway, just want to show you what it looks like on our place, what's blooming out. And really this is for me to kind of look back and see how things looked last year when we get into next year, just to kind of compare things. I like to do these videos to just do a compare and contrast. Last year was so much different compared to this year because of how the weather was. So anyway, if you have bees, hope they're looking good. I'm gonna run. I've got to do some things around the house, and I'll post some more videos later on as things progress through the season and we get into our honey flow, which we're already obviously in now. Our hives are gaining weight, we're adding supers, and things are looking pretty good. All right, we'll see you later.